The rooster crowed, breaking the soft stillness of dawn. The Carter farm stirred awake with familiar sounds, the creak of the barn door, the shuffle of boots on gravel, the rustle of hens in the coop. Emily Carter stood in the field, a basket balanced on her hip, her gaze sweeping across the rows of corn and tomatoes glistening with dew. To most, she was just the quiet farm girl, 26 years old, with hair pulled back beneath a faded ball cap and a flannel shirt that smelled faintly of soil and sunlight. But Emily had lived a life few in Cedar Ridge could imagine. Before she returned home to the farm, she had worn a different kind of uniform, the kind stitched with an American flag on the shoulder and earned through sweat, grit, and trials that broke most who attempted them. Emily Carter had been a Navy SEAL. And though she had left that world behind, its discipline never left her. Every step she took was measured. Every breath, controlled. Every glance, aware. Yet here, on this land, she was simply Emily, the sister, the caretaker, the quiet presence. A small voice called. Her younger brother Luke approached, his arms struggling under the weight of a basket nearly as big as him. At 14, Luke was tall but lean, his frame not yet filled out, his movements slightly awkward. His dark eyes were kind, but there was a weariness behind them that no boy his age should carry. Luke was gentle, thoughtful, and shy, qualities that, in the unforgiving halls of middle school, made him an easy target. Emily reached over and steadied his basket. "Careful," she said softly. "Don't strain your back." Luke gave her a small smile. "I'm fine." He wasn't. She could see it in the tightness of his shoulders, the way he avoided her eyes. Something was on his mind. She knew without asking, it was the same thing that was always there. The kids at school. The laughter. The words that cut deeper than sticks or stones. Emily longed to shield him from it all, but she knew she couldn't. She could guide him, teach him, stand beside him, but some storms, he had to face himself. As they carried their harvest toward the old pickup truck, the sound of voices drifted down the gravel road. Not friendly voices. Laughter, sharp, mocking. Emily's body tensed instinctively. She had heard laughter like that in many places, sometimes in barracks, sometimes in war zones. The laughter of people who felt powerful when they stripped someone else of theirs. 3 older boys appeared at the edge of the field. Sons of local families, troublemakers with too much time and too little kindness. Emily had seen them around town, leaning against store walls, tossing rocks, sneering at anyone weaker than them. Their eyes locked onto Luke, and their grins widened. Well, one of them jeered. "If it isn't the Scarecrow and his sister." Luke stiffened. His fingers clenched tighter around the basket's handle. Emily stepped slightly in front of him, her stance casual but deliberate. "Morning," she said evenly. Her voice was calm, polite, but carried a firmness that made even the boldest hesitate for a beat. The boys chuckled. "Morning? You think we're neighbors here for a chat?" The tallest one smirked. "We just came to see if Farm Boy needed help carrying his veggies." Another kicked at the dirt, sending a spray of dust toward Luke's boots. "Look at him. Bet he cries if you squeeze him too hard." Luke's face reddened. His chest rose and fell quickly, like a rabbit cornered by hounds. Emily's eyes softened as she glanced at him. She crouched, pretending to adjust her basket, and whispered so only he could hear. "Breathe, Luke. Remember what Dad used to say? Storms pass quicker if you don't feed the thunder." Luke gave a shaky nod, but his lips trembled. The tallest boy stepped closer and, with a shove, knocked Luke's basket to the ground. Vegetables scattered across the dirt. The boys howled with laughter. Luke dropped to his knees, scrambling to gather them, shame burning in his cheeks. Emily crouched beside him, placing a steady hand on his back. "It's all right," she murmured. "We'll pick it up. Together." Her calmness unsettled the bullies. They had expected anger. Yelling. Maybe tears. What they got instead was silence filled with something different, strength, steady and unshakable. Emily rose slowly, meeting their mocking stares. Her eyes didn't waver. She didn't threaten, didn't shout. But there was something in her gaze, an authority carved from years of training, a quiet storm that promised she was not someone to trifle with. For a flicker of a second, the leader hesitated. His smirk faltered, though he quickly replaced it with a scoff. "What's the matter?" he sneered. Too scared to fight back. Emily's lips pressed into the faintest hint of a smile. Not amusement, something sharper, quieter. She had fought men twice their size and lived to tell it. But she wasn't here to fight boys. She was here to protect her brother. And though they didn't know it yet, the quiet farm girl standing before them was capable of far more than they would ever understand. But Emily wasn't going to prove that with fists. Not today. Still, in her gut, she knew this wasn't the last time.